Yay Networks.
Y'all know I love sharing things that are behind the scenes, how things sort of come to be. And with Eat Fit, we've had the really, fun experience of working with so many restaurants, hundreds and hundreds of restaurants across the state to incorporate nutritious items on those menus. And festivals is another space that we've started to grow more and more into. It's really easy to see that seal on the menu and say, hey, this is exciting, Eat Fit's there, but what was behind it? How did that come to be with the relationships, the trust that is, part of that groundwork that is laid along the way? So in this week's episode, we'll be sharing a little bit of that backstory and then some of the really amazing, delicious dishes you'll find out at our local festivals. Also, things to take away, whether you're not in the New Orleans area or not. This is, some takeaways for, how to do festivals with a little bit of a wellness twist wherever you are. A quick note before we dive into today's podcast. If you like what you hear, I would love for you to subscribe to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, wherever you download your podcast. It would also be incredible if you take a minute to rate and review this podcast. Those things do matter and they really help us. I'm Molly Kimball. Welcome to Fueled, a wellness and nutrition podcast. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition journalist with a passion to help people live their strongest, healthiest life possible. In my weekly TV segments and columns, there's a limited amount of time and space to cover everything, but there's so much more to share. This podcast is my opportunity to dive deeper into the topics you want to know about. All right, y'all, it is festival season here in New Orleans, and really, spring is festivals nationwide. Here in South Louisiana, we've got things like Jazz Fest, French Quarter Fest. We've got Hogs for the Cause coming up right this weekend as this podcast is dropping. And there's so much to experience there. There's music, there's art, there's just the energy, the dancing. Of course, there's also the food. And there's so many different ways to navigate all of this. And so with me, I'm joined by Emma Poling. Emma is a registered dietitian with our Ochsner Eat Fit initiative. She is our Ochsner Eat Fit NOLA dietitian. So welcome.
Thank you.
Also, you can follow her on social, Emma Eats NOLA. You're New Orleans through and through. Mm-hmm. Festivals.
Yeah, I thrive in a fest situation.
And food through and through.
Yes, all of it. This is my time.
And your birthday's this month.
It is. Yeah, my birthday falls on the first Sunday of Jazz Fest. So if anyone sees me out there, I'll share some food with you.
Their treat, right?
Yes.
So when I thought about, okay, let's talk about festivals. Let's talk about, just making the most of it. And how do you do this with kind of that wellness centered, approach, if that's something that you're looking to do? I thought, I don't want to do this by myself. Let me ask Emma to join me. And so we've got a lot of different stuff we'll cover. One is we have Eat Fit at several festivals throughout the season, and it's super exciting. So you'll see Eat Fit on the menu board at Jazz Fest, at French Quarter Fest, at Hogs for the Cause. We also do a lot with Creole Tomato Fest in the summertime. So we thought that maybe we'd back up and kind of talk about how do we get here?
Yeah.
I think with a lot of things, last year was our first year to have Eat Fit officially on the menu boards at Jazz Fest.
The most exciting time.
Such a big deal. I was like sweating just thinking about it. I'm getting like really excited. And so many people were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, I saw Eat Fit on the menu boards. It doesn't just happen though, And so I think the work that Emma puts into it, the work that I've put into it, I think some of that we wanted to share with y'all. Just how does this come to be? And, I love doing podcasts with different brands or companies. And one of the ones that we do is, behind the brand. It's sort of like a subset of this podcast, Emma. And so it might be like, the Big Easy Bucha or Bonza or any of these, like what's the behind the brand? How did this Catalina Crunch, how did it come to be? And I feel like that's a little bit of what this is.
Yeah, because something like Jazz Fest was such a long time coming for Eat Fit and for you and for all of us. And, I know that it has a bit of a storied history. And so there's so much more to that to dive into today.
There's so much with like trust that goes in with the vendors and the festivals. So backing up, I wrote for the newspaper, the Times-Picayune then for years, I think starting in like 2009. A little bit as a freelancer in 2006 with some stories, but as a columnist in 2009. And the food writers, so Brett Anderson, the restaurant critic, Todd Price, Ann Maloney, who's the food editor at that time, they invited me to go out there with them to do the tasting. And I remember I was like, oh my God, like it felt like the cool kids have invited me. Like I got to go to like the press tent with them. Like, and they literally went around and got one of everything and brought it back.
This is when just say yes works for you.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a dream of not only when are you ever out at Jazz Fest that you truly are able to taste one bite of everything. Cause you always think like, man, I'd love a little bite of that, but I don't know if I want to commit to the whole thing. So not only that, but then also getting these people's in real, like their feedback, the people who are just experts in it. Also, Judy, who did the recipes and all this. So there was just so much food knowledge and food love among these people, and to be part of that and listen to their feedback and wow, I hadn't picked up on that element of that dish or whatever. And so then there I am, the dietitian who's like new to the newspaper. And I'm like, okay, how do I make this relevant? And how do you make it relevant of what are the nutritious choices here? And this predates Eat Fit, y'all. This is way before Eat Fit. This is me trying to say, how do we talk about these vendors in a positive light? Because there's so many healthy options. So over those years, I started introducing myself to the vendors, getting to know them, asking questions about what was in their dish. And there's immediately like a little bit of they're not, who's asking, but then when you're like, okay, I'm writing this for the newspaper and so there was always different approaches that we would take. So, it may be, there was one year that gave like the most insight because it was Jazz Fest to meet any need. So if you were looking for something that needed to be without gluten or low sodium or low saturated fat or low sugar, like whatever need you're looking for, here's the things to help guide you. And so that was probably the one that gave me the most insight and like the most freedom to ask really detailed questions about their recipes. And then over the years, I covered them every year. How do we feature these through a different lens to make that article read a little differently? But it was largely the same vendors, because Jazz Fest doesn't have a lot of turnover in the vendors. And so that's established that trust. And I remember some of the first conversations I had with those vendors, there was pushback. There was doubt. Why are you asking me all these details about what's in my dish? This is like a family recipe. I'm not sharing it. And then over time, those barriers kind of started to come down and that trust started to form.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been such a delight to work with them. And I think, to your point, the fact that they are so amenable to highlighting those specific dietary needs for people just fosters that very natural and appropriate relationship that we have with them. And also to your point, being a dietitian at Jazz Fest, we don't major in food for nothing. Like
Right.
we also love food. And so yeah, just such a dream to be able to work with the Jazz Fest team as a whole and also all of the vendors, to be privy and also yet very respectful of their recipes and just to highlight them because we truly love what they do and what they offer to the New Orleans community.
And when they hear that we're there for those things that Emma just said, and there's so much respect for it, and you're not saying, hey, this is something that we need you to change or anything like that. So then as Eat Fit came around and came about and formed, which was 2013, we started doing, I remember proposing to Jazz Fest, hey, would y'all want to work with us with Eat Fit? It's free. It's a nonprofit. We work with restaurants. And this is early on. This might have been 2014 or so, maybe 2015. And it was a hard no. But did I tell you that it got all the way up to Quint Davis?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Gotta love Quint. He was dressed to the nines at the event this year.
Yes. Emma and I just last week went to the press conference for Jazz Fest, and it was really entertaining. He does a really good job of, in his press conference statements, he's just enough self-deprecating.
Yeah.
That makes it really, really fun to watch. So Quint Davis is essentially the founder of Jazz Fest and still heavily involved. And there's the Jazz Fest board, the nonprofit side of it. And so I had, we had a couple of friends who were on the foundation, the Jazz Fest Foundation, this Jazz and Heritage Foundation, Festival Foundation. And they, we had brought it up to them, hey, what do you think about this? And yeah, we love the idea. It goes up and up and up. So we have several different conversations, and this all predates Zoom. So everything was a phone call. And it got all the way up to, let's have a phone call with Quint Davis. And I was like, this is like, I remember being like so excited about it. It's probably 2015 because one of our head marketing folks also joined the call. Because we were like, what's it? We understood it was probably going to maybe be some sort of a price tag. He shut it down if we didn't Eat Fit, our nonprofit, if we didn't have more than like a 6-figure sponsorship.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
We'll circle back.
And in the meantime, what we did was a hidden menu, the Jazz Fest hidden menu. So we wrote about it in the newspaper. We had great press releases about it. We had it featured in the Eat Fit app, but it was a hidden menu, meaning it's not on the menu boards, but these are all the healthy options. And so then work forward to 2 years ago, Ochsner started sponsoring, or 3 years ago, the medical tent. And Ochsner's support of Jazz Fest has grown and grown and grown. And just like anything, those relationships, the trust and all of that has just grown. And so last year was the first year that Eat Fit was able to be rolled into that and included in that. And it was when we had the conversation with the Jazz Fest team, it'd been years later, we'd been having the hidden menu. I wasn't sure, have they seen it? What are they going to think about it? Because we kind of said, okay, thank you. And we did this. And what was really a beautiful answer, or they actually brought it up on the first call that we had with them a couple of years back. And they said, you have a hidden menu, right? And I was like, yes, we do. And they were like, we use it all the time as our team because we're out here every single day of the festival. The foods are delicious. We want to feel good. We want to like eat things that are energizing us. And so they got it. They had been using that hidden menu and now it was time, okay, let's put it on the menu board.
Make it real.
And then, so from there, we'll get to French Quarter Fest too separately because that happened a little bit sooner. But at that point, when Emma joined our team, we still had the hidden menu. And we had our first call for you to join Eat Fit out at Jazz Fest.
Yeah, I was festing it up with my friends and had put in the application to apply for this Eat Fit NOLA dietitian role. And it just kind of worked out that, Molly wanted to chat on the phone while I was out at Fest. So I ducked away into the air-conditioned, beautiful grandstands and Molly and I hung out.
I remember she was like, had messaged me through social and I'm like, oh my God, I think Emma would be so great for this role. Hey, yeah, are you free to talk? She's like, yeah. And then I'm like, are you at a Jazz Fest? She's like, it's all good. I'm like, well, I'll try not to keep you, but I was so excited. And so that year we had, the hidden menu. And then it was 1 year later was when we had it
on board.
And so what that means is if you those of you who are local know there's your big Jazz Fest menu signs up at the top, but then there's these yellow handwritten menu board. It's all hand done, but the menu signs are on like this yellow kind of corrugated plastic a little bit.
The same woman's been doing those for decades. I absolutely love her. I've actually ordered some work for her for my dad for a great Father's Day present. She was doing work during COVID. If you wanted to order signs from her, but yes, so she's been at that game for a while, and so everyone can find our Eat Fit logos right on Nan's boards. And we both knew immediately who she was. Yeah,
but we didn't know what she looked like.
Yeah.
And she was just this nice lady that was like very welcoming. And then we were like, oh my God, that's Nan.
Yeah, we met her out in the stables and it was definitely like seeing a celebrity out in the public.
She was actually handwriting them as we were out there. And so like Emma said, it was the stables. So Jazz Fest is actually at the New Orleans Fairgrounds, and which, other times of the year is like horse racing. And so
which I also love.
Right. There's stables there that are actively used stables. And during the time of Jazz Fest, there's sort of like the staging areas for it. And so we were directed to like the art stable. And that's where like all the art, like all these signs that are like
a ton of talented people like milling about and creating the signs and organizing. I mean, you guys know how many vendors are at Jazz Fest, and they were all just so organized and so lovely, and it was a pleasure to work with them that first year.
And those big display signs, like the signs of like other things not even related to food. It felt like you were kind of walking through like where you would see like Mardi Gras floats like behind the scenes. It kind of felt a little like that.
Yeah, it was like Mardi Gras World, but it was like Jazz Fest World art department.
And then they're like, well, here's your stack of menu boards. And we had these vinyl seals that were like the Eat Fit seal that we had ordered on vinyl. I had tested them on like our planter out here, like in our yard. I put one on there for like a month because I'm like, is it going to get shabby, tattered? It was pristine.
Yeah, because all weather at Jazz Fest.
Right, all weather, sun, weather. And so then they hand these stacks of menus over to Emma and I to place the seal.
Off you go.
That first, I don't even know how long it took me to place that first seal.
Oh yeah, you want it to be like just so and just horizontal and just upright.
I think it took like 5 minutes
of deep breathing.
Like, okay, it's happening. And then, okay, it was really cool. Like, and for us to kind of be able to make sure that we were putting the logo placement by things that aren't confusing the people, that it's still giving that clarity, that people can look at this and understand exactly what on this sign, on this menu is Eat Fit approved. So just a really beautiful experience of that. And then this year, same thing there. I think maybe, well, let's talk a little bit about our favorite dishes at Jazz Fest. And then I'd like to share with y'all a little bit about how French Quarter Fest came about. And I know that we do have dietitians that listen to this podcast from, other areas across the country and beyond. And not that it's maybe something that is to replicate at festivals in other regions, but maybe so. And that's kind of why I like sharing the behind the scenes, because it's not something that just happens. It's something that it is that trust, it is laying that groundwork. And whether in your world it's nutrition or it's something else, there might be something else that you do that is a community touch point, a community benefit. And there might be something that seems really far reaching or really like, wow, like that would be like sort of the height of where we would want to go, or something that a partnership we'd want to have. But how does that even happen? And so that's sort of why like this behind the scenes, I hope, is also just entertaining, but I hope maybe helpful in that space.
Yeah, for sure.
So Jazz Fest, what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, so like Molly mentioned, there's normally a lot of stability in the food vendors at Jazz Fest. I mean, I've been going since I was a tiny little kiddo, and, there's always the same vendors that you know and love. But with last year, with them introducing the credit cards, there was a little bit of a shakeup. And so one that I am beyond excited about this year is that Benetchin is back.
Oh, gosh.
Fanta. Jama is, fantastic, you were going to say.
Well, Fanta has Benetchin.
Oh, well, and Fanta is fantastic.
Fanta is fantastic.
So Benetchin is back with the poulet fricassee, and one of my most personal favorites, Jama, is back this year. I'm beyond excited for that. Obviously, Miss Sheila Owens with Sunshine Catering does her rose mint herbal tea. It's a staple. Stay hydrated out there, y'all. We know it's going to be hot.
So with Benetchin, going back to that for just a bit, it's an African restaurant. She has a storefront location that's actually like in the French Quarter. And I don't know how long Fanta has had the restaurant, but I know as long as I've been covering or involved with any of the food with Jazz Fest, which is now, I guess, 15 years, she's been out there, and she was a fixture out there before that. So the Jama that Emma's talking about, it is just a heaping pile of
cooked spinach,
sauteed,
just so flavorful. The spices and everything that she uses, it's just perfect.
And then the poulet fricassee is essentially it's chicken, it is chicken on a stick that's overlaid on the Jama. We had the best photo of a firefighter out there. It was 2 years ago. It was when it was still not on the menu board. And so we had a big plate of it, and he was holding it, and it was like the biggest smile with Jazz Fest behind him and his fire.
Jama's for everyone.
It was so good. But one of the Jama is in the area. So Jazz Fest, of course, is divided into different spaces, and so it is in the Congo Square area.
Absolutely.
And right in a row, you have Benetchin, which they weren't there last year. They're back this year. Super excited. Right in that same row is Palmer's Cuisine and also Gambian Foods.
Yes.
Gambian Foods is owned, there's two folks that own it. Charlie Mendy is who we've had the most conversation with. His energy.
Oh, the hug that he gave you last year. I have the best photo of that too, y'all. You can check our Instagram page for that photo. I've posted it.
I mean, just an attitude adjuster, like a day brightener, the smile, the warmth. And so he has this great spicy tofu and vegetables with a peanut sauce. Normally it comes with couscous, but he does it with just veg as the Eat Fit off the menu option. And then Palmer's, Jessica is the granddaughter. Her grandparents started the booth. Her grandfather was the only one who had the recipe for the jerk chicken. And he has since passed away, and she is the only one who has the recipe. Her mom doesn't.
Protect her at all costs.
You need to have this in like a safe deposit. Like what if something happens? I was like, that's a lot of pressure. And so like a lot of them year round, the vendors have these other careers that are, completely unrelated to this. And then for these 2 weeks out of the year, they focus on this. And that's the case with Charlie of Gambian Foods and then Jessica of Palmer's Cuisine. So Congo Square for me personally is my first place that I go for food. Like I go there first for my first like bites.
A first stop. Yeah, I feel it. I think too, really exciting right across the way would be what's considered food area 2. So right across from these vendors that we're speaking about at Congo Square, you're going to find Carmo, which is also one of our brick and mortar restaurant partners. I love Dana Hahn so much. He is back this year with his handmade tacos. You can find fish, shrimp, and veg. And then also right in that same area, new to the fest this year and also joining French Quarter Fest is Free Thai. And they're going to have a grilled shrimp pickles. It's kind of like a ceviche looking kind of a dish with these little plantain rounds that come with it for scooping. And so
Charlie Pierre owns that. Yeah. He's great. It's Haitian type of cuisine. I was doing an interview and I was saying the name of that dish out loud. And so before I Googled an interview with him.
To get the pickles right?
I think he says pickles.
Pickles, I'm sure. I will never be able to emulate that. That beautiful accent.
All of it. So I can't wait to try for Thai, and especially, like you said, right next to Carmo there.
Yeah. And then, kind of rounding out that food area too, New Orleans Coffee Company is back with their Cafe au lait. The milks that they use do not have any added sugar, like is in their unsweetened almond milk is that option for everyone. So just for everyone to know. And then of course, like I mentioned, Miss Sheila Owens with Sunshine Catering. I mean, does it get any better than rose mint tea? Not for me.
And then this year they have a different version of a tea. So they have the rose mint tea, they have the mandarin orange herbal tea, and they're introducing a blackberry.
Yeah, they removed just like a classic black iced tea.
I guess they were like, nobody was doing plain. Everybody wanted flavor.
Yeah, everybody wants rose mint. The mandarin orange is a delight as well. I'm just so ingrained in the rose mint. But I'll definitely be trying the blackberry breeze this year. I'm excited for it.
And then in food area 1, which is sort of right next to there's 10 Talents Catering is Peggy there. And she has this last year. This was the first year we worked with her, was last year. She has a sunflower green salad that is like super fresh. The other like really fresh, refreshing that I think right there is Papa 90 Catering.
Papa 90 for sure. The shrimp and lump crab ravigote and the Louisiana crawfish remoulade were such revelations for me last year. First of all, he was so lovely. His whole team was to work with. But yeah, I mean, it's 110 degrees outside. Maybe you want something fresh.
And it feels like ice cold when you're out there. It's like, I mean, it's not ice cold, but it is chilled and crisp.
But like loaded up too, with the crab meat and the crawfish. Just really beautiful presentation on both of those dishes.
And then right next to them, there's 2. Tell us about Walker's Barbecue, the Love at First Bite. This is new to us this year for Eat Fit.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone knows and loves the cochon de lait po' boy. If you've ever stood in line for it, you get it, and you've seen the line if you haven't. But they also do a very, very popular, those that know kind of a version of it that's the cochon de lait with no bread. It can be the cochon salad or however you want to put it. So it's all of their, meaty goodness that's on the cochon de lait po' boy, just kind of over a bed of their cabbage slaw, with the dressing. That part of it again should be very light and refreshing.
And then right next to that is the Smoke Street Catering,
your personal favorite.
It's my favorite, I think, for Brussels sprouts that I've ever had.
Yeah,
like ever.
Yeah. They're wonderful.
I asked him for the recipe because I wanted to feature it in our revised version of the Eat Fit cookbook.
He's hanging on to it.
He wouldn't share it. He would not share it.
He knows he's got a good thing.
Right? And I'm like, even if there's like one element that you could change, not having it. Yeah. Not having it.
They're incredible. Not to be missed.
We brought last year, Brad's cousin Scott and his wife Jill, they're, our cousins and cousin-in-law, but also like some of our best friends. And so last year we went to Jazz Fest with them and kind of took them on the Eat Fit food tour.
Mm-hmm.
And because I wanted them to try all these that Emma and I are talking about that were just like some of our favorites, there wasn't a lot of room or really any room in their bellies to taste the other things that maybe they normally would have. But they were like, wow, like it had them trying things that normally they wouldn't try. And they were like, every single bite we're having is spectacular.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we really are highlighting, in my opinion, some winners for sure at Jazz Fest. And even if it's, it takes a slight modification, like in the case of the cochandole with no bread, or even also in that same food area 1 zone, the vegetarian red beans, maybe we leave off the rice. But
and they're happy to do it.
Yeah, they for sure are. That's been a lovely relationship for a few years going now. And so, we're really just still highlighting some mainstays,
Right.
at Jazz Fest.
And these weren't dishes that were created to Eat Fit. They were dishes that we should also mention all of the dishes that are out at Jazz Fest and also French Quarter Fest, which we'll talk about in a minute. They're basically juried, meaning it's sort of like if you have an art market that's juried, you have to submit what you're going to have. They're going to review it. The board is going to review it, or committee, and then approve it. And only those dishes that are approved are allowed, and those vendors. So once the vendors submit a dish and it is approved, that's it. Like they're not changing it up. They don't have like creative license to like on the fly day of do something different. It is very regimented, very systematic. So these dishes that we're talking about, they were submitted to Jazz Fest because they're delicious and beautiful.
Yes.
And then they just also happen to be nutritious.
Yeah, chef driven. This is what they've come up with. And, I think even just like with our restaurant partners, just so exciting as the Eat Fit NOLA dietitian to simply go in and in most cases just highlight something that already is delicious as is.
Let's talk hydration at Jazz Fest for a quick sec before we go over to French Quarter Fest. It's really easy to hydrate well at Jazz Fest.
Yeah, you can play it right.
So there's water, of course. You can bring in your own water, factory sealed, which also helps just save some extra cash for some of the other food that you might be spending it on. But this year, they have the Topo Chico, the flavored Topo Chico sparkling waters. And then last year, we were really excited that they had the Coors Edge, the non-alcoholic beer. And I believe it's only like 40-ish calories, like it's a lower calorie beer. And so it's one of those things that you don't think about beer as being hydrating, but that non-alcoholic beer, put it in your lineup for hydration.
Yeah.
And then of course your teas.
And your teas. We also have fruit salad, and we have sugar-free snowballs that we partner with. But yeah, the Coors Edge was a really cool option. And y'all know those beer tents are all over Jazz Fest, and they're all coordinated with programs that offer, like scholarships in the community, or, they give back just as a whole. So a really cool choice from that standpoint as well.
So switching over to French Quarter Fest, kind of the backstory on that, it was a little, not quite as long as I'd been writing on them, but several years before we had any relationship with Eat Fit with French Quarter Fest, my editor had said, hey, like what we do at Jazz Fest, can you do the same? What are some things that, if someone's looking for healthier options? And I think it was actually after Eat Fit had started. So her request was, how can someone eat fit at French Quarter Fest? And I said, well, let's figure it out. But this was before the festival. So I was kind of having to figure things out without actually going to the festival yet. Maybe I was trying to write about it in like February, March. The festival is going to be happening in April. So I was like trying to do the recon work, but without having all the contacts or all the pieces. And so we did something that was, some loose things that I was able to find and identify and source it out. So for a few years, we kind of loosely covered French Quarter Fest. And then there was one year, it was either 2017 or 18. I happened to see a story on NOLA.com about the food and beverage director of French Quarter Fest was making it a priority this year. And it was about 1 month before the festival, about 4 weeks out. She was making it a priority to have healthy options available. And it was a whole interview with her about this. And I'm thinking, but who says these are healthy? Like the vendors, but her
how does the fest goer know?
Right. And how does the fest goer know? There was a lot that was like, So as I'm reading it, it was also part of what was her motivation was the year prior, it had stormed. She had gone into some of the stores to get ponchos and, rain boots and stuff for her team. And as she was in the different merchants' spaces inside of the French Quarter shops, she, as the food and beverage director for French Quarter Fest, then she's moved to a different position outside of the festival. But she was like, "Hey, are you coming out to the fest tomorrow? It's supposed to be good weather." And she said everyone she talked to was like, "No." And like, "I can't eat those foods. Like, it's too salty or it's too this. I've got this going on." And it hit her that, wow, we need to make sure that we're making these foods to where anyone can feel like they can come in and enjoy it, and they don't feel like
for all.
Fest for all. And that was for her kind of the like light bulb moment that she was like, okay, like we need to put a shift in our messaging here. And then when I reached out to her, kudos to her. She said, yes, let's do it. And we were 4 weeks out, Emma, and I didn't have any of the details of any of the recipes. I didn't have any of, I'd kind of been guessing from afar on other stuff. She put me in touch with the vendors that we thought it would fit. Here's the priority. I need y'all to work with Molly. Boom, boom, boom. We had the seals on the menu for that. I was like, wow. So here we go. So we had it, several years there, not the years, of course, of COVID. And then since then, Kenneth Spears has been the food and beverage director that Emma and I work with. And it's so cool. Now, they do have more transition in their vendors, a lot of new vendors every year. And so then Emma and I look at it and we like huddle together. What about this? What about this? Or, oh no, remember we talked to them last year and they have sauce on whatever.
Flour tortillas.
Yeah. Or something that won't fit on this. And then those that we think would fit, Kenneth facilitates that introduction. The French Quarter Fest is providing that support to the vendors of like, hey, almost like vetting us out for them.
Yeah. These guys are cool.
I know.
You can talk to them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like they're good. And so for French Quarter Fest, I know we both have our favorites. What are some of yours?
Yeah. So I think, just dish and humans. I love Paco's Tacos. Daisy is such a treat. We partnered with them last year and highlighted the original rock tacos. This year, they're also adding the traditional brisket tacos that they have also on corn tortillas. And like I said, I love Miss Daisy. And so I'm really excited that they're back. It's one of those dishes that feels just so indulgent and you can't believe, and yet it is in fact Eat Fit. Because the number of people that stopped us last year and saw my t-shirt, saw Molly's gear, and was
with
like,
Eat Fit all over us.
Yeah. And was like, there's no way. Why do you have that in your,
That's not eating fit.
I know. And it was like, oh yes, in fact it is.
Emma gave one lady a, oh yes, ma'am, it is. Because the foods looked so decadent and beautiful.
Yeah.
And here we are walking with Eat Fit around us. We also note to French Quarter Fest, what we decided could be a really good thing is like, because we had little smorgasbords, because we were going to all the different booths that had Eat Fit, getting the Eat Fit things, and we're trying it, we're eating it, we're getting photos of it for social, photos of like, Emma taking a bite for social or whatever. But then you don't want to waste it. And then we go to the next booth. And so then we're compiling so we did have, in that lady's defense, food,
a buffet
that we were carrying around.
But it was in fact an Eat Fit buffet. It just looked incredible because it is. And so Paco's Tacos in Jackson Square. And then also in Jackson Square is Jacques of Giacomo's has his crab and artichoke citrus salad. Staple.
He and I, we just did a TV segment for WGNO that I think is going to air maybe the week after this episode drops. He's sort of like, I don't even know. Like he's such a, I want to say larger than life character. He's one of these that if you've seen him, you see him and he's
like lore.
Lore, right. That's a good way to say it. There's lore. And then when you're with him in person, he's just so chill. Yeah. But there's lore. And I think there's a reason there's that lore. Right under the surface, there's a lot happening there. So Jackson Square's got a lot of different vendors. We've got two Jags that has their shrimp remoulade there. Theodric.
Yeah, Theodric's over in the Jack's lot. We love him. We know him. The matcha filet gumbo is back. It is a treat.
He uses matcha green tea. instead of just a filet. And so it is like kind of a green hued gumbo and it's beautiful. And then he has a Brussels Voorhees that is also really amazing. Yes, really amazing.
Does a great job.
And then across the riverfront, there's 14 Parishes has an amazing jerk chicken. Right next to them, there's TJ's Gourmet that has actually like an alligator sausage kebab.
Picture perfect.
It is. It is. It's really
that
really
one's very
fun.
grabbable, y'all.
And then some new ones that we've got this year in the Kohlmeyer line. Actually, all three of those are new for us.
They are. There are two that we spoke about earlier. So that Cochandole Po' Boys as a salad version from Walker Southern Style Barbecue is at Kohlmeyer. So that'll be a treat both at French Quarter Fest and Jazz Fest. And also that grilled shrimp pickles, however I'm supposed to say it, from Free Thai is also at Kohlmeyer. And then Pho Bang is a new partner as well. They have a deep fried tofu with house-made sauces on top. If you get that one with just a smidge of sauce, it is not only EFIT approved, but also vegetarian.
So we had a whole conversation. I was like, but Emma, I'm concerned this is going to be stinky tofu. Emma was like, what are you talking about?
I was like, I love tofu. I've never had stinky tofu.
So when I was, my friend Amy, who I grew up with, who is just one of my oldest, closest friends, and she lived in Taiwan for some time. And Brad and I go visit her in Taiwan, and we're walking through the night markets, and the smell, you were like, what is the smell? It would take your breath away. It would not even just take your breath away. Like you would feel a contraction.
Smack you in the face.
and your stomach.
Yeah.
Like you would just feel a contraction in your belly, like everything. And I was like, what is this? And Amy's like, it is stinky tofu. Like they all referred to it as stinky tofu. Brad, it had him completely lost his appetite. The whole, and I was like, then when we get to the tofu, I'm trying it. And he's like, I can't even believe we're going to try that. But it didn't taste like it smelled. It tasted really, really good. Brad's like, I can't even come near it. And it would waft through the whole thing. So my concern was, what's going to happen out at French Quarter Fest if we've got stinky tofu going? And so when we were at French Quarter Fest, invites Emma and I to basically the vendor. They have mandatory meetings for the vendors, and they have it to where they're all there. They're all kind of here on the rundown. That we get to kind of do a little introduction about Eat Fit. We're there if they've got any questions. So I asked the Pho Bang team about it, and they educated me because I didn't know this, but that it's basically what we were smelling in Taiwan. And part of what made it stinky is they were using dried fish on the outside of that. So what you're smelling is the fermented and dried fish on the outside of this tofu that is then deep fried, not just plain tofu. So it wasn't the tofu itself or even fermented. It was the dried fish and then fermented on it.
This is not that, y'all. Go for Pho Bang.
Way too much time me talking about stinky tofu, but it's also one of those fun things to think about or talk about. Okay, there's also a whole snapper that I'm excited to try. We've seen about it, we've read about it, we haven't tasted it yet.
Yeah, I had a cool chat with Miss Lenora Chong of Monday about that whole snapper. I think it's going to be wonderful. It sounds so fresh, herby, and just a really straightforward traditional dish.
And so at both of these, Jazz Fest and French Quarter Fest, we're really fortunate, and it's just incredibly exciting that we do have the Ochsner that Eat Fit seal right there on the menu, identifying those options for you. For a few of them, if there are options that are, we call them off menu, maybe they needed a modifier, like at Jazz Fest, we talked about the red beans without rice. There's a handful of them. Gambian Foods is one also that we won't have the seal on the menu board because we don't have that modifier that would say without couscous, double veg or whatever. So to have that full list of the dishes, we would say the app, the Eat Fit smartphone app, we will have separate special pages dedicated to this to where you'll see here's all your entire lineup by area, by food area for French Quarter Fest, and then also for Jazz Fest. And then inside of each of those food areas, which is because the footprints of these places are huge. So each of them has it divided into different kind of spaces. Okay, within each of those spaces, what are the vendors that have Eat Fit dishes, and what are those Eat Fit dishes? We have a photo of those dishes. We have the nutrition facts of those dishes. So that's the way to kind of help you map it out and see in real time, what's there. And there will be a few off menu items that won't have the seal, but it'll be Eat Fit there. The websites for the festivals also have them noted on their websites. Those are the two big ones that we've got coming up. And then as this podcast is dropping on a Thursday, this weekend is Hogs for the Cause, and we've got 2 dishes there.
We sure do. So Pig Latin is a relationship that we've had for quite a while now. Originally started full of Ochsner doctors, and now I believe they've spread out just a little bit, but that's how our relationship started with them. They're such a wonderful team. Their chef has created this year a Thai pork larb salad of sorts. It'll come with like cabbage and things to make wraps. And it has fish sauce, but not stinky fish sauce. And cilantro and peppers. And it's just going to be super, super lean pork that they, just fire off with all the veg and everything. We'll finish with the veg. So that'll be a beautiful dish. And then we're also collaborating with Dead Pork, which is a play on Deadpool this year. They're highlighting all of their dishes are going to be Taylor Swift themed. And so they're doing a ceviche Taylor's version. Well, the ceviche version is what they're calling it. And it'll be either flounder or drum, and it'll all be locally caught from a fisherman partner that they have out of Lafitte, who sells actually right in Lakeview in NOLA. And that'll be a beautiful dish. They'll have that one available on Friday.
And those are just some of the things that we've got going on. This summer, we'll also have Creole Tomato Fest. We do cool stuff out at the festival itself, but also with restaurants around town during that time. So it's just really cool to see the work that Eat Fit does as the nonprofit, that we are, and we typically work with restaurants, but then it is about, well, where are people out living their lives? Like, what are we all doing in our downtime, and how can we help guide people when they're looking for that option? And it's not that this is, the only things to have. Everyone's got their favorites. Of course, you're going to indulge in what some of those others are. I think though, I would encourage you to try some of these things, because I would be stunned if some of these don't become your new favorites.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely. Yeah. Break it up. If you're having something super like warm or saucy or indulgent, and then maybe that, Papa 90, one of those salads grabs you, then I think it's just like a really nice way to navigate your time at such a hot festival, and create that balance in your life.
So if you've got stuff going on in your own regions and you're like, hey, I would want to get some more about like, how could I do something like this in a whole different location than where we are? Or if you've got different festivals or different groups that you work with that are in the Louisiana region, we have Eat Fit and, across the state, essentially, we'd love to work with you, work with those festivals that are some of your favorites. And then if you are out at Hogs for the Cause, French Quarter Fest, Jazz Fest, Creole Tomato Fest, and you see Emma, you see me, stop and say hey. Mm-hmm. Tell us hello. Also, if there's some of the things that you're trying,
especially if it's on April 28th,
treat her to that birthday dish. And just let us know what you think too of these dishes. Like, we always want to hear about it.
Yeah, tag us in your photos if you find one of our dishes. If you see us on menus, if you're really enjoying what these vendors are putting out this year, by all means, snap that pic and tag us in it. We love to see what you guys are enjoying out at Fest this year.
And we would say tag Eat Fit Ochsner, and if you just type in Eat Fit Ochsner will usually pull up as that, but Eat Fit Ochsner. And then, of course, Emma's is Emma Eats NOLA. And if you wanted to tag me, it's Molly Kimball RD. But definitely tag Eat Fit Ochsner if you're out there, and then we'll share it from those too. And, tag in the festival, because then they can see, they're seeing that like, wow, there's such great response and great feedback on that.
Yeah, it's, I think, they say every time you go to the grocery store, every time you purchase something, it's a vote for that product to be restocked on shelves. And so I think it's similar to Fest. Every time you purchase one of these things, it's a vote of confidence in these vendors and in that you want to see Eat Fit options out of Fest.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you.
I always enjoy my time with Emma. She always has a level of insight, a way of putting things that I hadn't thought of it quite that way, or verbalizing things that I hadn't been able to really put my finger on or express it in such a way. So really grateful for her time on this. As you try any of these festivals, as you're hitting the festivals, you can try any of the dishes that we talked about. As we said, we want to hear about it. Tag us at Eat Fit Ochsner. You can tag Emma at Emma Eats NOLA. Also, she's a really fun social account to follow. And of course, you can always tag me, Molly Kimball RD, and we want to know what you think about it. If there's dishes you try or you're at other festivals and you're like, oh my gosh, this has to have Eat Fit. These dishes would, I think for sure Eat Fit. Reach out to us. Always stay in touch with us. Let us know this is how things grow and this is how things spread and really just kind of keeping that momentum going. So always reach out to us. I am registered dietitian Molly Kimball, and you've been listening to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, the podcast. And if you'd like more Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, please head over to mollykimball.com and you can follow me, Molly Kimball RD, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another dose of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition. Thanks for listening, and stay focused on living your strongest, healthiest life.